In the heart of this episode of One Day at a Time, the narrative deepens into one of its most compelling and relatable sequences, the intense yet loving negotiation between Anne Romano and her daughters over permission to host the end-of-season basketball party. This section exemplifies the show's signature blend of domestic comedy and emotional authenticity, transforming a seemingly straightforward parental discussion into a rich exploration of generational conflict, teenage social pressure and the unique challenges faced by a single working mother in 1970s America. The writers handle this battle for party permission with remarkable sensitivity and humor, allowing the audience to laugh while simultaneously feeling the weight of the stakes for all involved. The negotiation begins in earnest, right after Anne's initial enthusiastic approval. Julie and Barbara, riding high on their victory, immediately launch into preparations only to encounter the first major obstacle when Anne reveals she will be attending Carla's wedding on Saturday night. The timing conflict, the party scheduled for the same evening, sets off a chain of increasingly desperate pleas from the girls. Julie's dismay is palpable, as she protests that Anne does not need to be present, suggesting they can manage alone. This moment captures the classic teenage belief in their own maturity, a sentiment that clashes directly with Anne's protective instincts. The reference to Ma chaperones went out with Ozzie and Harriet is particularly sharp, highlighting the cultural shift from the idealized 1950s nuclear family to the more independent yet precarious realities of 1970s youth culture. Anne's firm insistence that the party cannot proceed without supervision reflects not only maternal concern but also the societal expectations placed upon single mothers, who were often judged more harshly for any perceived leniency. What follows is a masterclass in layered dialogue and escalating tension. Barbara and Julie employ every tactic in the teenage arsenal: guilt, flattery, exaggeration, and appeals to fairness. Barbara's lament that she will never get to meet any basketball players and only encounters short, dinky guys adds a humorous, self-deprecating touch that humanizes her character. Julie's complaint about dancing with her chest in their eyes when paired with shorter boys elicits both sympathy and laughter, revealing the physical awkwardness and social anxieties of adolescence. These details are not throwaway lines but carefully crafted insights into the girls' emotional world. In the context of the 1970s, where high school social status carried immense importance, such a party represented far more than entertainment. It was a vital opportunity for connection and validation in a family structure that had been redefined by divorce. Anne's responses throughout the negotiation demonstrate her strength as a character and as a single mother. She is neither authoritarian, tyrant, nor pushover. Instead, she embodies the conflicted, liberated woman of the era, wanting her daughters to experience joy and normalcy while refusing to compromise on safety and values. Her line, "I told you, I wanted you to have the party right, but without supervision these things can get out of hand," strikes the perfect balance between empathy and authority. The script excels here in showing how Anne must constantly navigate multiple roles. She works, maintains the household, disciplines her children, academically, and now must adjudicate this significant social event. The emotional labor involved is immense, and the writing never shies away from portraying it. David Kane's arrival during this negotiation adds crucial dynamic complexity. As Anne's boyfriend, he becomes both ally and potential buffer. The girls quickly seize upon the idea of recruiting him as chaperone, with Julie's pleading, "Oh David, please," showcasing their manipulative charm and emotional intelligence. David's reluctant acceptance, prompted by the girls' pressure and his affection for Anne, sets up rich comedic potential while also exploring themes of blended family dynamics. In 1970s America, men dating single mothers often found themselves thrust into quasi-parental roles, a situation both flattering and daunting. David's position as the reluctant chaperone is portrayed with warmth and gentle humor, highlighting his good intentions even as he underestimates the challenge ahead. The negotiation reaches its peak when the topic of alcohol enters the conversation. Anne's unequivocal stance, "no drinking," and that includes beer, triggers the girls' most passionate counterarguments. They cite peer pressure, social norms, and specific examples of other parents allowing beer at parties, including a judge's daughter and a divorced mother whom Anne herself had praised. This sequence brilliantly illustrates the "everybody else is doing it" phenomenon that has plagued parents across generations but felt particularly acute in the more permissive 1970s. Julie and Barbara's rapid-fire examples demonstrate their awareness of social double standards and their desire to fit in. Anne's response is firm and principled. She does not care what other parents do. In her house, her rules prevail. This stance reflects the show's respectful treatment of parental authority while acknowledging the real pressures faced by teenagers. The semantic loophole the girls later exploit, promising not to bring in any beer themselves while allowing the boys to do so, is foreshadowed beautifully in this negotiation. When they say we won't bring in one single can of beer, Anne wisely expands the prohibition to include bottles, kegs, and even goat skins, showcasing her experience with teenage logic. These moments of verbal sparring are delivered with impeccable timing, allowing the humor to emerge organically from character rather than forced jokes. David's attempts to mediate, suggesting the girls are under tremendous peer pressure only to be gently rebuked by Anne. David, will you let me raise my own children? Further illuminate the delicate balance of power in this emerging blended family. Schneider's intermittent interruptions during these negotiations provide essential comic relief without undermining the emotional core. His absurd fish metaphors and warnings about the basketball team's pent-up energy after 4 months without dames or booze inject broad humor while subtly reinforcing adult concerns about the party. His presence reminds viewers that the Romano apartment exists within a larger community, where privacy is limited, and well-meaning if annoying neighbors often insert themselves into family matters. Thematically, this battle for party permission explores several profound ideas central to the show's appeal. It examines the tension between protection and independence, between a mother's hard-won authority and her daughter's yearning for autonomy. In the broader historical context of 1970s America, these negotiations mirror larger societal debates about youth liberation, feminism, and changing family structures. Single mothers like Anne were pioneering new models of parenting, often without clear cultural blueprints. The episode celebrates Anne's efforts to instill responsibility while allowing space for fun, avoiding simplistic moral judgments. The emotional undercurrents are handled with great care. We sense Julie's genuine vulnerability regarding Pete Stratton, and her desire to be seen as desirable and popular. Barbara's enthusiastic support for her sister reveals deep sisterly loyalty. Anne's exhaustion mixed with love is evident in every measured response. Even David's growing realization of the responsibility he has accepted adds depth to his character. The script's attention to these nuances transforms what could have been a standard sitcom conflict into something more resonant and human. Dialogue craftsmanship shines throughout. The overlapping speeches, interruptions, and emotional escalations feel authentic to real family arguments. When the girls accuse Anne of not trusting them, her patient yet firm rebuttals demonstrate years of parenting wisdom. The writers understand that the best comedy arises from truth, and the truth here is that raising teenagers is messy, funny, and profoundly moving. As the negotiation concludes with Anne's final word, "No party without her presence," and "no beer whatsoever," the audience is left with a satisfying sense of dramatic tension. The girls' disappointment is real, yet their scheming spirit remains unbroken, setting up the deception to come. This section masterfully balances immediate comedic payoff with long-term narrative setup, a hallmark of excellent sitcom writing. In reflecting upon this pivotal sequence, one appreciates how One Day at a Time used such everyday battles to comment on larger issues. The party permission negotiation becomes a microcosm for the struggles of single motherhood, balancing love with limits, tradition with modernity, and personal sacrifice with familial happiness. Anne Romano emerges as a compelling heroine, flawed, tired, but ultimately principled and deeply caring. Her daughters, though rebellious, are never portrayed as villains but as normal teenagers navigating a complex world. The 1970s setting enriches every moment. References to cultural touchstones like the Cuckoo's Nest, Ozzie and Harriet, and peer party norms ground the story in its time while ensuring its themes remain timeless. The gentle satire on double standards, parents who allow beer versus those who do not, traditional chaperones versus modern realities, is delivered with affection rather than cynicism. This extended negotiation sequence stands as one of the episode's strongest achievements. Through expert pacing, authentic character voices, cultural insight, and warm humor, the writers create television that entertains while illuminating the beautiful complexities of family life. It reminds us why audiences connected so deeply with the Romano family, because their struggles, negotiations, and small victories felt profoundly real. The battle for party permission ultimately reveals the love that binds this single-parent household together even amid conflict. It sets the stage perfectly for the chaos and reconciliation that will follow, cementing this episode's place as a standout example of One Day at a Time's enduring charm and emotional intelligence.